Welcome, welcome, welcome. I would like to welcome you to another episode of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. And if you do me a favor, please subscribe to whoever you're listening. Please subscribe to whoever you're watching. It definitely means a lot to me. If this week hasn't told you anything, the one thing that I hope is made abundantly clear is that the NFL don't care about no other sport. The NFL does not care about any other big event. I mean, think about what's going on right now. You have March Madness. You have MLB with free agency and trades. You have so much going on, and the NFL said, you know what? Let's dead it all that. Think about it. I am about to talk. All right, so the biggest news happened yesterday. Deshaun Watson, who has a lot going on. Deshaun Watson, former now Houston Texans quarterback, got traded to the Browns. And that's not even the biggest. Now, I understand that the NFL is going through free agency. I get that. And there's a lot we're going to talk about, but that's Deshaun Watson going to the Cleveland Browns just swept everything under the rug. Like, swept. Think about that. Yo, Tom Brady unretired. And, I mean, that might be the only thing I might talk about a little bit. Now, of course, this happened further on the week. And, again, shouts out to Tykera Carter. Shouts out to Jasmine Brown. Shouts out to Carl for coming on the podcast on Wednesday's episode to break down the brackets for the NCAA tournament. Congrats. Shouts out to y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. So we didn't get to any of the football free agency stuff, but even still, man, let's talk about the biggest one. Let's talk about Deshaun Watson getting traded to the Browns. This has been a roller coaster of not just an offseason, but of a entire season dating back to last year for Deshaun Watson. First and foremost, I understand that, there's no criminal charges that's being brought on Deshaun Watson. However, there are still 22 civil cases for, alleged misconduct with massage therapists or with women. And so Deshaun Watson still has that stuff to deal with. And if, everything comes out to say that it was true, then he definitely is going to have to deal with that. And it's kind of weird, man. We're put in a weird and we're put in a weird space. You see a lot of people, right, that are saying they're for women. No, you know what it is? You know what's weird? People are putting two eggs in one basket. Two eggs in one basket that doesn't ultimately need to be in said, like, what people are doing is people are taking, if you support Deshaun Watson, or if you want Deshaun Watson, if you like Deshaun Watson, if you want Deshaun Watson as the quarterback of your team, then that automatically means you don't care about women, you don't care about the struggles of women, you don't care about none of that. And I don't think that's right. Now, I do think that there are people, I do think that the allegations that are against Deshaun Watson have not been taken as seriously as it should. I definitely believe that. And I said this last episode when we were talking about, or I said this an episode ago before last, when we talked about Calvin Ridley. And I said that the reason why the NFL doesn't care about their players in domestic violence is because it doesn't really hurt the NFL as much as it hurts the player. It hurts the NFL when they don't react the way that they should. But the whole domestic violence thing doesn't really affect the NFL. The NFL does not really think about that. Deshaun Watson is still facing 22 civil suits about sexual misconduct. And he still received the biggest deal in NFL history. making the highest paid quarterback in NFL history. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The most fully guaranteed money. In fact, let me go see what this deal was for a second. And while I look this up, Deshaun Watson, who was traded to the Browns, the deal is 5 years, $230 million, fully guaranteed. That should tell you and the thing is, Deshaun Watson may not even play next year due to these civil cases, because we don't know what's going to happen. And the Browns still say, hey, it's Deshaun Watson. Back to my point. I don't think it's I think that you can support somebody but not support what they do, or not support what they're alleged to have done. And I'm not here saying that I support Deshaun Watson. I don't have, I mean, I don't know Deshaun Watson. I do know that he's a very talented quarterback, but I do always, I tend to side with the side of, believe women, but believe women, when there's proof and stuff, which I know is hard to get proof, but, I just think that a lot of people are. You're hearing this narrative go around a lot that if you're happy for Deshaun Watson for getting this deal or getting traded to the Browns, and you automatically don't believe all the 22 women, or you automatically don't care about the 22 women. I don't think that's right. I don't know, man. I just think that's a crazy way of thinking. Two things can be true, man. You can be happy for Deshaun Watson, but you can also not like what he did, or if he did it, because it hasn't been proven. If you do not like what he did or what accused of doing, doesn't, you know what I'm saying? It's weird. But let's talk about this in a football aspect. Deshaun Watson, at his best, you can arguably say he's a top 5 quarterback in the league, which is why the Browns gave up 2 first rounds. I think they gave up 5 picks altogether. I think 2 first rounds and 3 second rounds, or 3 first rounds or 2 second rounds. They gave up 5 picks. That's Deshaun Watson is good enough to change the trajectory of your team. You give up that much for somebody, you know that they're a cornerstone franchise player. And the Cleveland Browns, who have a number 1 overall pick still on the roster, by the way, was just like, hey, we'll throw Deshaun Watson has expressed interest in us, so we're gonna get Deshaun Watson. We're gonna do what it takes. And it's crazy how this whole storyline went, because reports were saying that yesterday morning, reports were saying that Deshaun Watson was out with Cleveland, like Cleveland was out the running. So it was either the Panthers it was either the Falcons or the Saints. And I was over here saying I think he was better with the Saints. You have a good offensive line. You have Michael Thomas. You have Alvin Kamara. You have a good defense. I don't know about the coach, of course, but I was thinking the Saints was the best place for him. I know he wanted to be home and everything, but to me, you're not really making a upwards trajectory if you go from the Houston Texans to the Atlanta Falcons. Because, I mean, have you seen the Falcons? Like, the Falcons don't really – I mean, yes, you have Kyle Pitts, which is really the only draw, but the Falcons don't have a good defense. They don't have a good offensive line. They don't have a really good running situation. All they have is Kyle Pitts. So I was just like, I get the fact that you're close to home, but I don't understand. I wouldn't have understood you going from Houston to Atlanta if you were talking about winning. You go to now that you go to Cleveland, you have, Peoples-Jones, you have Nick Chubb, you have some Njoku, you have a great defense. I think that was a great place for him. And Houston, it's funny, man. People were saying that Houston's asking for too much for Deshaun Watson. And honestly, if you really remember the first thing that they were offering, it's damn near close to what they got. So we still need to, he still has 22 civil suits that he has to figure, or that have to get addressed. and you don't know when he's going to play again. But now Houston knows. I mean, now Cleveland knows that they have Deshaun Watson on their roster. So whether it takes a year, whether it takes a couple games, you have Deshaun Watson, and that is the big get. So what does this mean for Baker Mayfield? So the plot thickens, man. Deshaun Watson had an interview with Cleveland, and then that's what ultimately the reports are saying that Cleveland was out. Well, Baker found out about this and requested a trade, which then Cleveland said, nah. Especially when they found out that, they thought that they were not in the running for Deshaun Watson. The thing that really put them back in the race and ultimately they won Deshaun Watson was the fact that A, they were willing to give him that fifth year, and B, they were able to give him $230 million fully guaranteed, the most guaranteed money ever in NFL history. And apparently the reports are saying that the Cleveland was saying, yo, we're paying you what we think you're worth. They think this man, which I'm not mad at that, because if you're talking about just football talent, Deshaun Watson for sure is worth $230 million. Now, what people like to do, and we're going to talk about Devonte Adams in a second. What people like to do is they like to see someone's contract and they say, you know what, that's the market. No, no. What one person gets doesn't mean that you get. That's just what the team was willing to pay. If the team paid me, if a team paid me $150 million, it doesn't mean that's the market. It just means that the team was dumb enough to pay me $150 million. If my production doesn't say that I'm worth $150 million, that doesn't mean that you're worth $156 million. It just means that's just that team. You know what I'm saying? People were talking about the Christian Kirk contract, and it's like, yo, everybody named Mama knows Christian Kirk's not worth that money. Now, he could play into that money, but he's not worth that money. So now you're saying, well, okay, well, then that's the market. No. It was just, they were just, they had the money, they spent it. But Deshaun Watson is one of the best players or one of the best quarterback in the league, like hands down. So he's definitely worth $230 million, fully guaranteed. So now, and if you look at it in totality, again, we didn't talk about it more last episode because I focused on the March Madness, but there have been some moves, man. Like the AFC is a gauntlet. Think about it, man. Now the Cleveland Browns have Deshaun Watson. We talked about the AFC West and it, man. The Chargers have J.C. Jackson and Khalil. We talked about Khalil Mack, but they have J.C. Jackson. The Bills have Von Miller for 6 years. Oh, man. The AFC. I said this on Twitter, and I mean it, man. If the AFC doesn't win the next 4, 5, or 6 championships, something is drastically wrong. Like, think about all the quarterbacks in the AFC at this point. Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Derek Carr. It's crazy, man. So let's finish with the Baker situation, which I think is the funniest thing about this entire trade is that the Texans traded Deshaun Watson to Cleveland when they had Baker Mayfield. And instead of including Baker Mayfield in the trade, which you usually do, like you saw with Carson Wentz, you trade, you saw with Russell Wilson. You trade Russell Wilson to the to the Broncos. The Seahawks get Drew Lock. While, of course, it's not an even thing that the Seahawks got more than just Drew Lock. You at least throw in a quarterback, so they have a quarterback. Yo, the Houston Texans had like 5 draft picks now and did not include Baker Mayfield, which then prompted the Cleveland Browns to say, hey, now you can you wanted a trade, you go find yourself a trade. It's just, first and foremost, I never thought that Baker Mayfield should have been number one overall pick. Do I think he's trash? No. I think he's a solid quarterback, but kind of the same way I look at any team that has Carson Wentz. That's the same way I kind of feel about Baker Mayfield. Not saying that Baker Mayfield is Carson Wentz. I think he's better than Carson Wentz. But if Baker Mayfield is your quarterback, is your starting quarterback, to me, you're not a Super Bowl caliber team. I mean, look at the weapons that he had. And I understand about the whole injury and everything, but he decided to play for that. He decided to play through that. Now, whether that was for a contract or whatever, you decided to play for that. So you have to own up to the results that you got. And whether he had a shoulder injury or not, which of course he did because he had surgery on it, you still played through that. And it was, you didn't have a surgery, you didn't have an injured shoulder last season. So it's like, Baker Mayfield, of course, is a number one overall pick because they picked him number one. Not saying that his play warranted him to be a number one overall pick. It's just that's what the Cleveland Browns picked. And what Baker Mayfield doesn't understand, or to me doesn't understand about this entire situation, is a team will tell you how they feel about you by their actions. Yes, you're a number one overall pick. Yes, they can say they love you. But if they're entertaining another quarterback, then they're not satisfied. They're always looking. Teams are always looking to upgrade. It goes. I go back to the basketball analogy all the time when we talk about this. Do you think let me think of a team. Let me think of it. If Brooklyn called Golden State and said, yo, we'll trade you Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and all you have to do is say they said, better one. Say the Lakers, right, called Golden State and said, we'll give you LeBron James and Anthony Davis. We'll also give you Malik Monk. We'll give you LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Malik Monk. And all you have to do is give us Steph Curry. I promise you, Golden State's making that move. And that's no slight against Steph Curry at all. Steph Curry is more than deserving of staying on the team. I mean, 3-time champion, 2-time MVP, greatest shooter in NBA history. But a team is always trying to look better. And while LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Malik Monk can't shoot better than Steph Curry, that brings a whole new dynamic. Now you have a young player in Anthony Davis when he's healthy. Now you have LeBron James. Now you have Malik Monk. It doesn't matter if Steph Curry is the face of Golden State. If they're offering LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Malik Monk, they're going to take the deal. Baker doesn't understand, you're not better than Deshaun Watson. And a team's always going to try to improve unless they are just solidified and they just feel confident about their player. Like you know who I didn't hear? I heard a couple teams that threw their name in the ring for Deshaun Watson. You know the teams I didn't hear? The Kansas City Chiefs. What do the Kansas City Chiefs have in common? They have Patrick Mahomes. I didn't hear the Buffalo Bills. They have Josh Allen. Hell, I didn't hear Cincinnati Bengals. They have Joe Burrow. I didn't hear Baltimore Ravens. They have Lamar Jackson. I didn't hear Green Bay Packers, they have Aaron Rodgers. I didn't even hear the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who has a 45-year-old Tom Brady. Again, Baker, in my opinion, is not a number one overall pick, but he just, that's where they picked him at. And what you have to understand is a team's always going to try to improve if they're not satisfied with, if they're not satisfied with your production, and they weren't. And Baker Mayfield hasn't really been good, in my opinion, since like his rookie year. Now, I understand he's dealt with injuries and inconsistency at coaching, whatever, but he hasn't been really good since his rookie year. or maybe the year after his rookie year. One of those two. Probably his rookie year. So Deshaun Watson is a is a Cleveland Brown, which is crazy that you go from Houston, which also is crazy to me because you don't really expect a team to trade in the conference. Like, that's one of the biggest reasons why Russell Wilson landed in Denver instead of Seattle. I mean, Denver instead of Washington. Apparently, Washington had almost a similar package as Denver. They just didn't. Well, of course, Russell Wilson had the no trade clause, but they didn't want to trade him to an in-conference rival. The Texans trade. Now, I guess I understand that ultimately it's Deshaun Watson's choice, but they traded him in conference. And I think the Cleveland Browns, in fact, I know the Cleveland Browns are playing the Houston Texans this year. So it's, this puts a whole new. Think about the domino effects now. Deshaun Watson is out of Houston. Houston was Davis Mills. There's their quarterback. The Saints thought they were going to get Deshaun Watson. Now that Deshaun Watson's with Cleveland, they're bringing back Jameis Winston. The Atlanta Falcons thought that they were going to get Deshaun Watson, which is why they pushed back giving Matt Ryan his guaranteed money. They pushed it back like 4 or 7 days or whatever, so he can go find a trade partner because they thought they had Deshaun Watson. Now you're seeing reports that no, they want to keep Matt Ryan. The Panthers, reports are coming out saying the Panthers didn't want to give him like a 3 or 4 year deal. They were willing to pay him, but just not the 3 or 4 years. So the Panthers were out. So now they're still looking for a quarterback, and now the money that they didn't spend, they gave to DJ Moore. So this is such a big ripple effect. And again, now you go look at just the AFC. What is it? AFC. Is it South? Look at the AFC, man. Look at the AFC. We talk about, and we're going to talk about in a second, but we talk about the AFC West. Look at the AFC North now. Lamar Jackson. Every team has a star player. Like the Steelers. We're not going to talk about the quarterback position, but they have TJ Watt, who is arguably the second best defensive player in the league. The Cincinnati Bengals have Joe Burrow, have Jamar Chase, have T. Higgins, have Tyler Boyd. They have Joe Mixon. They just went to the Super Bowl. The Baltimore Ravens have Lamar Jackson. And now Cleveland Browns have Deshaun Watson, has Myles Garrett, has Nick Chubb, has Kareem Hunt, has Peoples-Jones. Now, I do need to figure out, they need to bring on another wide receiver, seeing as though, they let Jarvis walk. Or they cut Jarvis and cut, we know about Odell Beckham Jr., so it's big, man. And let's go over to the second biggest news, and that is Devonte Adams. Devonte Adams gets traded. The Packers trade Devonte Adams to the Raiders. For people that don't know, Devonte Adams played with Derek Carr back in Fresno State, and he wanted to be back with Derek Carr. Now, reports are coming out saying that, I don't know if people remember, but when it was a year ago before the season, Aaron Rodgers and Devonte Adams put like the Last Dance pictures up. A lot of people thought that it was about Aaron Rodgers. Hell, I was one of the people. I'm like, oh yeah, it's over with. But apparently it was about Devonte Adams. Devonte Adams. See, there's a lot of people that is to blame for this. And when I say to blame for this, I mean when you have arguably the best wide receiver in the league in your building, the last thing you want to do is let him pretty much walk. Now, of course, The Green Bay Packers, I think, got like 2 first-round picks or a first-round and second-rounder. But the last thing you want to do is let a wide receiver, the talents that's as talented as Devonte Adams, walk out the door. Now, for people that are saying, but wait, they got a first round pick and a second round pick. And I also understand that this is a loaded draft. I know that this is a loaded draft for wide receivers, but look at from Chris Olave, look at the wide receivers that you're getting. Do you think that any of them, especially any of them at 22, I think that's the pick that they got from the Raiders, do you think that any of them will amount to Devonte Adams? I'll wait. I don't see now. I didn't see Jamar Chase being as good as he is now, but I still don't see a wide receiver in this league. I mean, in this draft, that's going to be at the same level as Devonte Adams or Jamar Chase, let alone Devonte Adams. Now, that's no disrespect to any of the wide receivers because I know this is a loaded wide receiver draft, but the prized possession is walking out the door, which is Devonte Adams. So I think that there's a lot to blame. There's a lot of people to blame for this. First, you have to start with the Green Bay Packers. You let this man's contract run out. He's been saying that he wants a contract extension. He's been saying that. And he also said that he does not want to play under the franchise tag. And what does the Green Bay Packers do? Not only do they let his contract run out when they could have done this a year ago, but they said we're going to franchise tag you. The one thing that homie said he did not want to do. So of course, if another team like, yo, I don't trade me, bro. I don't want to be here. You guys, you don't make me feel like I want to be here, so I ain't gonna be here. You have to look at Aaron Rodgers now. Reports are saying that Aaron Rodgers knew even before everything that happened. He knew that this was going to be Devonte Adams' last season if they tried to franchise tag him. But, like, I'd be tired as hell answering Aaron Rodgers questions all the time, especially when I'm a player at the caliber that Devonte Adams is. Like, I don't want to answer about Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Not to mention, we've seen this year. I mean, think about how this year went down. Before the draft, Aaron Rodgers said, I'm not reporting. I'm not coming back. I don't want to come back. That was a whole thing. Then Aaron Rodgers said, I'm coming back. It is what it is. They restructured their deal so that he can pretty much walk at the end. That's all we heard all season is, well, he's here, but is he going to be here after the season? They get to 13-3, get the first playoff game at home, below freezing, snow, against a San Francisco team that is used to hot weather. You lose. And then you hear, well, is Aaron Rodgers going to go? Is Aaron Rodgers going to stay? I don't know yet. I'm going to take some time with my family. Then he did the whole like thank you to everyone's letter. Like, it was a lot. I don't want to answer. I wouldn't want to answer that if I'm as great as Devonte Adams. Like, come on, bro. Ask me about football. Don't ask me about Aaron Rodgers. So I get that. So this is such a huge get for one thing that we've always said is that all Derek Carr needs is a number one receiver. While, yes, you have Darren Waller, who is probably the second or third best tight end in the league, especially when we talk about catching. He didn't really have a number one receiver. His number one receiver was a Hunter Renfrow, who was a good player, but he's not a number one receiver. Now you have Devonte Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, and you still have Josh Jacobs as a running back. And you still have Max Crosby, and you get Chandler Jones from the Cardinals. Goes back to the AFC thing, man. It's hard for me to look at the AFC and think to like I would be shocked if the next 5, 6, 7 Super Bowls did not come out the AFC. Again, look at the teams just in the AFC West alone. This is the first time that I think a division, the AFC West, every single quarterback has been to a Pro Bowl. Derek Carr, Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes. They also have 2 Super Bowl MVPs in this joint. Oh, man. And then you look, let's go back to the North. You have Joe Burrow, who was just in the Super Bowl. You have Deshaun Watson, Pro Bowler, multiple-time Pro Bowler. You have Lamar Jackson, MVP. It's the AFC, man. Yo, what is the... This is a lot. This means a lot for... Of course, we know what it means for the Raiders. It just bolsters the AFC West. Now the AFC West, now, but before, the AFC West was by far the best division in football at this point. Like, with the whole Russell Wilson and everything, they were the best division by far in football. But now, again, every team did something big. Every team. From the Kansas City Chiefs getting Jason Reed from the Houston Texans, who was a good young safety, to the and of course the Kansas City Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, to the Vegas Raiders getting Chandler Jones and Devonte Adams, to the Chargers getting Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson, who's arguably the best safety in the league, to Denver getting Russell Wilson. So the AFC is huge, man. And then and for the Green Bay Packers, now you're really about to see, if people were saying, I'm not saying that Devonte Adams made Aaron Rodgers. I will never say that. Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest quarterbacks we've ever seen. But one of the biggest faults that we've seen or one of the biggest critiques you can say that we've heard about Aaron Rodgers is he does not, if he don't trust you, he ain't throwing you the ball. Hell, you saw that in the playoff games. All he would do is throw the ball to Devonte Adams. Well, you don't got Devonte Adams no more. Now, if I were them, I understand how, and I'm talking about them as Green Bay. I understand how important draft picks are in the NFL. I get that. But you have 2 first rounders. Why don't you try to trade, I don't know, a first rounder or a second rounder for maybe, I don't know, maybe a DK Metcalf. Maybe, I don't know. It's just, I don't see a receiver, even though it's a loaded wide receiver, I don't see a receiver coming into this draft that will give you the same production as a Devonte Adams. Hell, look at the quarter, or look at the wide receivers that are still in the market. You have Odell Beckham Jr. While you won't get him till probably the middle of the season, you still have Odell Beckham Jr. You have Jarvis Landry, like Van Jefferson's still there. I don't know, man. It's just better than the only wide receiver that the Packers have like under contract is like Allen Lazard. And I don't know, man. It's this is the NFL don't care, man. The NFL does not care about no other sport. Again, I didn't even talk about the Rams getting Allen Robinson, another weapon, and that kind of shows me, I don't now, it could still happen, but I don't know if that means Odell Beckham Jr. is going to come back or not, because Oh, I do know that they're trying to trade Robert Wood, but after that injury, I don't know who's going to really want to trade, get a lot for him. Maybe as Green Bay, who knows? But I don't know what that means for Odell Beckham Jr. But they got Allen Robinson, and again, I touched on it briefly, but Von Miller goes to Buffalo for 6 years, $120 million. Buffalo feels like they needed keys. Wish they did. They needed key stops in the game against the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs, and they didn't have the personnel to do that. Now you have Von Miller, someone that can come in and teach you. I mean, he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He can teach you how to be a Super Bowl winner. So it's looking at this, man. I can make a case for the Cincinnati Bengals to win the Super Bowl, for the Cleveland Browns, for the Baltimore Ravens, for the Kansas City Chiefs, for the LA Chargers, for the Denver Broncos, for the Raiders. It's a doozy. And then I'm just looking at the NFC, man. There's not a team. Well, yes, you have the defending champs, the Rams. But outside of that, there's not a team, in my opinion, even the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because they still have at this very moment, Tampa Bay does not have a guard. Think about that. You still have to figure out what you're going to do with all the, I don't see a team, even with Green Bay, even with Aaron Rodgers, I don't see a team better than most of the teams in the AFC. Hell, even the Bills. I can see the Bills winning a champ. That's crazy, man. It's insane. It's insanity. Let's move on, man. So March Madness is here, of course, and everyone's brackets are pretty much busted at this point. Iowa lost the first game, and Kentucky lost to St. Peter's. St. Peter's, by the way, and I'm going to give them respect. St. Peter's, a very small school out of New Jersey. Shouts out to St. Peter's. But let's have a serious conversation about Kentucky and John Calipari. When we think about recruiting, right? When we think about some of the NBA stars, or some players that were one and done, or some players that just went to the NBA, there's a lot of great players that played under John Calipari, and that are still good to this day. Like, let's think. Julius Randle, De'Aaron Fox, Bam Adebayo. There's a lot of Tyler Hero, who is more than likely going to win the Sixth Man of the Year this year. There's a lot of good players. John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Eric Bledsoe. John Calipari has had many of great players, at least great players in college, under his belt. Yet and still, he only has one national championship. And that one national championship was, of course, with Anthony Davis, who will go down as arguably one of the greatest college basketball players we've ever seen. Not the greatest, one of the greatest. So we really have to start looking at John Calipari. I understand that he's popular. I understand that, Duke is Kentucky's a blue blood. I understand that, the history and everything, and, the flashing lights of having a top recruiting class, which to me makes it worse. That year after year, Kentucky continues to have a top tier recruiting class. They have one of the number one, I think they have Ojale. They have the number one player in the nation, and lose to St. Mary's. Now, don't get me wrong, man. I mean, St. Peter's, I apologize. Don't get me wrong. I'm not disrespecting St. Peter's, right? And there's been multiple upsets. Like I said, UConn lost to New Mexico. Notre Dame beat Alabama. There's North Carolina destroyed Marquette. What else? There's been upsets. Again, Richmond beat Iowa. Creighton beat San Diego State. Michigan beat Colorado State. But what I'm saying is, when you year after year after year after year walk into a game and have you undoubtedly the better players year after year, because that's your recruiting class, yet and still you cannot, bruh, yo, think about this. I didn't even say he had a team with Devin Booker and Karl Anthony Towns, the same Karl Anthony Towns who just dropped 60 in the NBA the other day, and the same Devin Booker who dropped 70 in the NBA. He had them on the team. Nerlens Noel. The list the list goes on and on and on. Yet and still, he has won championship. Hell, I think the team that I know the team that Devin Booker and Karl Anthony Towns that had the Harrison brothers, they only lost one game. And, of course, that was against Frank Kaminsky in Wisconsin. And I think the Final Four. All I'm saying is we have to really be – I think there has to be an honest conversation about the coach. I'm not going to say the coaching style or whatever, but – There's a huge problem with John Calipari having all this talent around him year after year after year after year after year. And yet he only has one championship in Kentucky. One. And that's with Anthony Davis. I didn't even talk about some of the college greats that he had. Maybe not NBA great, like Terrence Jones. No, that was Kent. No, Terrence Jones. Patrick Patterson. It's just again, there's going to be upsets all the time. There's going to be upsets all the time. But there has to be something to be said when you're the team that's usually upset. Bro, I think this is like the third or fourth biggest blow up or biggest upset in like college basketball history. As far as when we talk about the tournament. In history. It's crazy, man. That's something like we really have to sit and think about that, man. Sit and think about that. I mean, it's, man. And on the women's side, shouts out to Howard, man. Shouts out to Howard for making it to the tournament after winning their play-in game, just to lose South Carolina 79-21. Now, I'm not, I don't expect much from Howard, especially playing against the number one overall seed. And I'm just happy that they made it. I'm happy that HBCU is showcased in the NCAA tournament, especially one that's from the crib, which is Washington, D.C. Shouts out to them, man. But, yeah, they just got destroyed. They got destroyed. Colorado lost, and this is for the women's side. Gonzaga lost. I think you see a lot more upsets with the women's side than men's, honestly. Hell, Ole Miss got destroyed. And one of my players to watch was on Ole Miss. Jesus. It's just, yeah, man. Florida Gulf Coast just beat Virginia Tech. Like, come on now. Like, that's all I'm saying. March Madness is here, man. And again, shouts out to Tykera Carter. Shouts out to Jasmine Brown. Shouts out to my man Carl for coming on last episode to break down some of the stuff. Clearly, a lot of us, all three of us were wrong in a lot of areas. But shouts out to them and go check it out if you haven't. But, that's March. So let's move forward. Like I said, baseball free agency and, of course, spring training and everything is underway. And there's been a lot of movement, but the biggest two, in my opinion, was Freddie Freeman. He goes to the Dodgers for 6 years, $162 million. Freddie Freeman, by the way, who is a former MVP of the league, who is the main reason or led the Braves to their first World Series since like the 90s or 80s or something. Freddie Freeman goes to the Dodgers because the Braves, the Atlanta Braves, did not want to give him, I think, the 6th year or the 5th or 6th year. The same guy that led y'all to a championship, you didn't want to give him the 5th year or 5th or 6th year. That's huge, man. Think about that. Now look at the Dodgers have Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Clayton Kershaw, Corey Bellinger. Like, they have a squad. Trey Turner. They have a squad, man. To me, that's like one of those. Now, I'm not gonna lie and say I know much about baseball, but I do know all those names, and I do know. Like when you play the MLB or whatever, and you create a team, you have that team. You're going places. Like, Jesus, and this completely takes, in my opinion, Atlanta out the chance of even trying to repeat, because he was their best player. And I know baseball is pretty much the ultimate team sport or whatever, but losing a player like Freddie Freeman, especially to the Dodgers, a Dodgers that's already loaded again, and it goes back to the payroll thing, man. If they got the money, they're gonna pay that jump. That's just how it is. The Dodgers, this is a team that won like 103 games last year or something, and led the league in runs. Oh man, and now you add a complete, probably the best third baseman in the league, one of the best third basemen in the league, in Freddie Freeman. And Chris Bryant signs with the Rockies for 7 years, $182 million. Chris Bryant, who's also one of the best players in the league. Like, oh man, it is a challenge. You go from San Francisco to Colorado. While I don't think that Colorado it's one of those things where I think Colorado clearly has a better chance of being better because you have the better player in Chris Bryant. But you in my opinion, you completely take San Francisco out of the mix, because Chris Bryant was like that dude, bruh, or is that dude, which is why he got 7 years, $182 million. Oh, by the way, all these contracts, especially in baseball, are fully guaranteed. So Freddie Freeman is going to see all of that $162 million, and Chris Bryant is going to see all of that $182 million. Man, oh man, that's crazy. Well, shouts out to the Dodgers, shouts out to Freddie Freeman, shouts out to Chris Bryant, shouts out to the Rockies. It's unfortunate for, the Braves, San Francisco Giants. The Yankees got Donaldson in a trade. That's cool. You still got Aaron Judge. You still have Giancarlo Stanton. Yeah. Let's move forward. So Steph Curry is out indefinitely with a sprained ligament after Marcus Smart died. So there's conversation around. So the play at hand is there was a loose ball. Steph Curry, Marcus Smart was going for it. Marcus Smart dives at the ball, which then, his body pretty much dives through Steph Curry's ankle, rolls that joint. It's sprained ligament. Out indefinitely. He's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. They're hoping that he's going to be back for the playoffs, which is huge because Draymond Green's been out most of the year due to the back injury. Of course, Klay Thompson's coming back after 2 years. So you want to try to get – not to mention they have to bring James Wiseman back. He just got recalled up from the G League. You need more reps. Yes, Steph Curry is the ultimate plug-and-play dude because it's Steph Curry, but you want, especially to win a championship, you want everyone to gel, and the only way to do that is be on the court. So the conversation around this has been, is this a dirty play from Marcus Smart? If people remember, this is the same exact play that happened with LeBron James and Solomon Hill. The ball was on the ground. Solomon Hill goes for the ball, dives at the ball, gets LeBron James' ankle, rolls the joint. LeBron James out for a while. So my take is this. Do I think it's a dirty play? No. As a basketball player, you're told one thing. You're supposed to hustle for the ball. That's pretty much what you're supposed to do. That's the goal. If the ball, always be the first down on the ground to get the ball. But do I think it was a reckless play? Yes. Do I think it was an unnecessary play? Yes. Especially when you're talking about NBA players, especially when you're talking about how much money is on that court. It was reckless play because if you look at the players around it, Klay Thompson and Jason Tatum were closer to the ball than Steph Curry and Marcus Smart, and they didn't even die for the ball. But that's their MO. That's people like Marcus Smart, people like Solomon Hill, people like Patrick Beverly. They get contracts off of playing hard, making plays like that, doing things that the dirty work that other people won't do. And now Steph Curry is hurt. So do I think it was a dirty play? No. Hell, Draymond Green's one of those players. Now, of course, Draymond Green is a better defender and everything, but Draymond Green is one of those players that get paid to do the dirty work. Now, again, do I think it was a dirty play? No. But I think it was very unnecessary. I think it was very it was a ruthless play. Not ruthless. It was an unnecessary play that you did need to die for. Now Steph Curry's hurt. And if you ask any basketball player, the last place that you want to hurt yourself is the ankle. Any basketball player. So I do think that this definitely, especially if he's not ready come the playoff time, I do think that this hurts the playoff chances drastically. Because, again, you need to gel. You need, James Wiseman needs to play with Steph Curry. Draymond Green, I think they only played 11 minutes since he came back. They need to gel again. Klay Thompson, he's been gone 2 years. Of course, what happens with Jordan Poole and his minutes? He needs to figure out how, his minutes are going to work. Andrew Wiggins, how is he going to work with the reduced minutes and the reduced shots? There's just a lot that you have to factor in. Not to mention, Andre Iguodala is still supposed to come back. So this is a huge detriment, and Steph Curry is their best player. Do not get it confused. Yes, Draymond Green is very important, and they're not as good without Draymond Green, but Steph Curry is their best player by far. No ifs, ands, or buts about that one. And they need Steph Curry to win a championship. Not to mention, if you look at the West, man, they're Denver's right nipping at the back of their heels. Who else? The Dallas Mavericks, and they're both playing really well. So that's huge, man. It's huge. So let's keep it moving. Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner, who has been in Russian jail for God knows, or since February. Her detention is getting extended until May 19th, meaning that she would be in jail from February to hopefully May 19th. She was caught trying to, I guess, have weed or something in a vape. And Russia don't play that, apparently. Now, Russia is the last place that you want to get caught up in, especially in times like this. But Russia, I think that the crime is like upwards of 10 years in jail, in Russia jail. You hear a lot of people, hoping that she comes back, which, of course, I'll say this. Now, this might not be a popular take, and I don't, but it's true. She was breaking the law. Now, she was trying to pretty much illegal contraband in Russia and weed in a vape. She was trying to do that, and she got caught. Now, do I think that the penalties are extremely severe? Yes. Do I think that it's way too harsh just for a vape? Yes, I do. Now, I don't do vapes. I still think that she did break the law, but I still don't think that. I think that the punishment is way too over the top. So I am acknowledging that she did break the law, but I am acknowledging that I do hope that she's able to come home. Again, with this whole Russia-Ukraine thing, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why this is lagging and this is kind of getting dragged on, and she's still there. I just wish nothing but I hope she's okay mentally, I hope she's okay physically, and I hope that she comes home. So, yeah. And lastly, before we go, I just want to shout out Alex Ovechkin. I know I don't talk a lot about hockey here, but Alex Ovechkin became the third all-time leading goal scorer in NHL history with 767. Third behind Wayne Gretzky and somebody, I forgot his name. I just want to shout outs to Alex Ovechkin, the greatest Capitals player you've ever had. So shouts out to you, man, becoming the third all-time in goals scored. And there you have it, man. That's been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. I appreciate you guys. If you want an Unpopular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweater, long sleeve joggers, the link is in the description below. I have multiple different colors, multiple different designs. Whatever you're feeling, I got you. Just click on the link and go explore. Also, please subscribe to wherever you're listening. Please subscribe to wherever you're watching. It definitely means a lot to me. I'm trying to get the engagement up. I'm trying to get more people. So leave a comment, like, share. Do what you got to do. I can't do it without your help. I appreciate you guys. And until next time, much love.